The purpose of an economic system is to create value, or we may use the term wealth interchangeably. We live within and are all engaged in an economic system. It's the unseen social contract, the oil of society, and perhaps one of the most important threads in the fabric of civilization. Yet few people will pause to examine the system in detail, and fewer still will ask the most basic question: at what point is value created? Contrary to popular belief, value is not created by the generation of money, nor is it created in commerce and trade, or even in the construction of assets. All of these things are outcomes of the value creation process, yet are incapable of functioning or creating value by themselves. Looking at it closely, we can discover the reality that value is created wherever human virtues find their practical application. In fact, the only time that value is ever created is when human virtues are practically applied. Because virtues play such a central role, we should take a moment to explore them. Imagine that you walk into a room in the middle of the night and turn on the light. What happened to the darkness? Where did it go? Did it run out through the crack under the door, or escape through the gaps in the curtain? Did it compress itself under your bed? No, in fact, the darkness has no existence of itself. It is merely the absence of light. Likewise, virtues are those qualities that light up the dark spaces within us. For example, ignorance is an absence of knowledge. Hate is an absence of love. Fear, an absence of courage. Cruelty, an absence of kindness. Impatience, the absence of patience. Bad qualities have no existence in and of themselves. They are merely the absence of virtues. Just as darkness ceases to exist in the presence of light, that which we consider to be bad qualities cease to exist as virtues are acquired. So back to value creation. Let's take the example of someone who wants to build a house. They go to the bank for a loan. At this point, money is created. Yet it has potential value, but no value in and of itself. It must first be spent or traded in order to derive value. So you go to an architect to have plans drafted. As the architect drafts the plans, you can see that the architect is a very creative person and is able to practically apply their creativity in the process. You marvel at the value being created before your very eyes. You realize that value was wrought into being through the creativity of the architect. You also realize that had the architect not exercised patience, forbearance, excellence, and a host of other virtues in the studies and disciplines required for the trade, such creativity could not have been practically applied, nor any value created. The next step is to seek a builder to manage your project. If the builder is not trustworthy, the value you hope to derive may be severely diminished, or even completely gone. But if the builder is trustworthy, and along with the respective tradespeople is able to practically apply the needed virtues such as reliability, enthusiasm, honesty, unity, orderliness, creativity, and excellence, an abundance of value will be created. Before this point in time, that value did not exist. So the next time you watch a person skillfully applying their trade, you should say to yourself, I am watching value being created before my very eyes, and before this point in time, it didn't exist. We can determine from this example that the practical application of human virtues is the real mechanism by which value or wealth is created, and the fundamental building block of any economic system. Having achieved this realization, we must carefully consider what attributes of an economic system promote virtues and which diminish them. Competition, for example, is often used to drive efficiency, which is important, yet excessive competition tends to diminish virtues. Competition derived from scarcity is always excessive. Or, in other words, scarcity drives excessive competition. Take an example of where there are 6 hungry people in a room, yet there's not enough food for all of them. In order to survive, they have to compete for their share. In this scenario, the excessive competition, driven by scarcity, will likely reduce the virtues that people display. It is certainly not an optimum environment for promoting virtues or creating value. Collaboration and cooperation, on the other hand, tend to create an environment conducive to the promotion of virtues, and as a result have greater potential for the creation of wealth and value. Let's think about some examples. Let's look at your workplace. Do we like a highly competitive workplace or a cooperative and collaborative one? Which one do you think can create the most value for the organization and the individuals within it? Your home. Do you derive value from a competitive home environment? Or would we prefer a more cooperative and collaborative one? How about school? Is a highly competitive educational process going to produce better results than a more cooperative and collaborative one? Do students derive the most value by competing with each other, or under such environments do they usually default to rote learning? In this, we must also consider the health and well-being of our children. When it comes to value creation, collaboration and cooperation trump competition every time. Now let's take a quick look at some of our money systems. Forget all of the classical definitions. A money system is nothing more than a social contract. And there are huge social and moral implications that arise from a money system that tries to derive its value from scarcity, one in which there is not enough supply for everyone, and we are all forced to compete in order to thrive and survive. The notion that something is only valuable because it is scarce is simply not true. We've already discovered that the only time that value is ever created is through the practical application of human virtues, and these are qualities and attributes that we can have in an abundance. In fact, scarcity tends to diminish these values rather than increase them. Let's go back to the example of someone who borrows money from the bank in order to build a home. The money is loaned into existence by the bank. At this point, it has potential value, but no real value. It's not until the money is spent in constructing the house that the potential value of the money is realized. The value was not created by the money. Money is just a social contract. The value is created by the builder, the architect, the engineer, and the tradespeople through the practical application of their virtues. The attributes of the social contract that money represents is therefore very important. We as human beings make both written and unwritten social contracts every day that perform the same role as money. Now that we understand the wealth or value creation process, we can be far more deliberate in creating effective money systems. So let's take a look at some of the existing money systems. On the surface, our money system seems to work well, except there are 2 major issues. First is that credit, or money, is issued by a central authority, the banking system. In 1887, Lord Acton rightly stated, "Power tends to corrupt, and absolute power corrupts absolutely." Centralizing the issuance of something as important as money has huge implications. The second issue is that interest is attached to the repayment of created money. As a result of the interest component, there can never be enough money in circulation to repay the principal plus the interest. the system must either be subject to an exponential growth curve and die from hyperinflation, or cease to provide for everyone, creating excessive scarcity in the process. Gold, silver, Bitcoin, and most blockchain-based currencies, and to a lesser extent our current fiat system, try to derive their value from scarcity. As already mentioned, such artificially created scarcity drives excessive competition and severely diminishes the potential for real value creation, not to mention the social and moral implications, the uneven distribution of wealth, and the problems go on. Now let's have a look at a mutual credit system. Mutual credit is a simple money system that each of us has already informally used every day. Whenever you help your neighbor take out the garbage, or give of your time and resources, you accrue credit. This happens whether you intend it or not. You know that they will be there for you in your time of need and will willingly reciprocate wherever they can. With a properly designed mutual credit system, the wealth of an individual and the community is limited only by the acquisition and application of virtues. I submit to you that no one has found the limits of these two qualities. They come from an inexhaustible supply and tend to increase in abundance as we share them. In a properly designed mutual credit system, there is never a scarcity, and there is never too much. Giving and receiving tend to find their natural balance. There is no central issuing authority for credit. Everybody is their own bank, and their credit worthiness is determined by their ability to practically apply human virtues. Thanks to the Holochain project, mutual credit currencies will soon find their use on a global scale and be able to replace our failing money system and help reshape the social contract of humanity. But even without formal agreements, we can all start participating in a mutual credit system today. Learn about virtues from resources such as the Family Virtues Guide. Build relationships within your community by carrying out simple acts of service. Pay things forward, participate in time sharing, recycle, and learn about the principles of symbiotic communities.